Hi friends, today we're going to be creating some pop art inspired pieces. For our subject matter, we'll be using our name. So we're not only going to explore pop art, but we're also going to be delving into the realm of abstract art. What is abstract art? If you've thought of something that is not representational, so it's not realistic necessarily, it's not something you would see out in real life, then you would be correct. Abstract art refers to using lines, colors, shapes, patterns to create a piece of artwork. It might look like something from the real world, but it's not specifically a depiction of something from the real world. So we're going to be using our names in the way that they create shapes. And it's going to turn into a pretty cool abstract piece. Let's get started. I'm ready to begin my pop-up name art for today. I'm going to start with a ruler and a pencil. I'm going to be expanding my measuring skills today. And I'm actually going to take my piece of paper, and even though we're going to be using it vertically or portrait style, to measure I'm actually going to turn it on its side landscape style, and I'm going to be making a few marks using a 9-inch by 12-inch piece of paper. So there's 12 inches on the long side. On the long side, I'm going to make a tiny little tick mark every 2 inches. So counting by twos, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and then 12. Doesn't need a tick mark. I'm going to turn that paper around to the other side. This is going to help me get a really nice straight line. Really going to make my pop art pop if I get the lines even. 6, 8, 10, and 12. I have marks on both sides at the 2 inches. I'm going to turn my paper back, portrait style, vertically, and then I'm going to connect those two lines. You have choices. You may use any kind of line that you like. Okay, so going back, doing a little kindergarten review, our types of lines. Let's review those real quick. So we have our 5 basic kinds of lines. And then we can expand off of those. So I just drew one of them, okay? So we've got straight line, we have dotted line. I'll tell you right now, dotted line is not gonna work out so well for this project. I would not recommend it. It needs to be a connected line. Zigzag. We've got our wavy or curvy, our loop-de-loop line. Also not the most ideal for this project because of these little spaces in here, although it wouldn't be the worst, so you could probably use that one. Okay, so your 5 basic kinds of lines, and then of course you can use a combination of those types of lines. You could, those are not the only kinds of lines. So you could use a geometric design, you can go, wavy, zigzag, geometric. So really it's totally up to you what kind of lines you want to use. I'll let you think about that and then draw your lines. You need to draw from one little hash mark to the next so that you end up at the 2-inch mark on both sides. So you can take a look and see what that looks like here. You're welcome to use your ruler for drawing the lines, especially if you want to draw straight lines, but you don't have to. Now that my lines are finished, I should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spaces in between each of my lines. 6 spaces. I'm going to take my Sharpie marker. I recommend black or a very dark color, at least, to outline your lines, just your lines. This time I am going to use my ruler to help straighten out some of those wonky looking lines that I created. I have a skinny tip here, but I actually think a thicker tip would work better, like regular size, like this style. However, I'd rather use black and dark blue. So sometimes you just gotta do with what you have. That's something that artists are awesome at. Step 2, creating the name. I'm going to go back to using my pencil. You may use capital or lowercase or a combination of letters for your name. You may use any style of letters, so we call that a font. So you can have more of a cursive type letter, or you could have more of a block type letter. That's up to you. The style of letters that you use is your unique artist signature. You may choose your first name, your nickname, the name that you like to be called. That's up to you as well. Okay, I'm going to go with mine, Miss K. It's short, so I'll be repeating it quite a bit as I move through each of these spaces on my paper. Each space, empty space between my lines, will get filled with a name. Most important thing is to make sure you fill up each space from side to side, going across with a name, and especially from top to bottom as well. So let me show you what that might look like, and then I'll have you go ahead and give it a try. Starting at the very edge, now you can see that the bottom of my M touches this line, the top of my M touches the top of my paper. Top of my paper, bottom of the line. Okay, I don't want to have an M that's sort of floating in the air. It needs to connect on the top and the bottom. Now I have my S. Get a little creative with that one. My punctuation. My K. Punctuation. And then I repeat. Well, that was not. Always going from very top to very bottom. When I run out of room, I simply move to the next line. Always going from bottom to top. Repeating, repeating, repeating. Go ahead and give that a try. Step 3, outlining your letters with a Sharpie marker. Step 3 is complete. Now I'm ready to move on to step 4. We're going to use the color wheel to help us figure out our color scheme today, which is going to be based on the warm colors and the cool colors. The warm colors and the cool colors are easily divided on the color wheel. Basically, the color wheel is divided in half. So we have our warm colors up here and our cool colors down here. Warm colors such as red, red-orange, orange, yellow-orange, and yellow. Cool colors, yellow-green, green, blue-green, blue, blue-violet, and violet. Okay? So thinking of the warm and cool colors today as we work. I'm going to start with either some crayons or colored pencils, okay? And I'm going to be choosing one color scheme, either the warm color scheme or the cool color scheme to start me off today with my colored pencils or crayons. I'm going to be starting out with the warm colors. It is time for step 5 and the final step in my name art pop art project today. I'm going to be using watercolor paints in my opposite color scheme from what I chose for step 4. So I chose the warm colors, meaning I'll be using the cool colors to fill in the rest of the shapes in my piece today using my watercolor paints. You may also opt to choose colored pencils or crayons for your opposite shapes. I really like the combination of crayons and watercolor paints. If you haven't used that combination of colors before, you might notice the effects that you get